Ambassador Zychtal of the Galactic Council adjusted his environmental suit nervously as the shuttle approached the blue-green world designated as Earth. The briefing had been clear: Class 7 world, moderate gravity, reasonable atmosphere, inhabited by a species that had recently achieved faster-than-light communication. "Standard first contact protocol," he muttered to his aide, Keelwyn. "We assess their technological level and extend an invitation to join the galactic community." The planet looked peaceful from orbit: swirling clouds, vast oceans, green landmasses. Zychtal had done this dozens of times across the galaxy. Their shuttle touched down in New York, a sprawling metropolis. Within hours, Zychtal found himself in the United Nations building, facing human representatives. The humans were bipedal, roughly his height, with internal skeletons, primitive but not unusually so. "Welcome to Earth," said Secretary General Maria Rodriguez. "We are honored by your visit." The meeting proceeded normally. Zychtal explained the Council's benefits. The humans listened with interest, asking intelligent questions about trade and technology. It was when Rodriguez casually mentioned Earth's wildlife that Zychtal began to suspect something was wrong. "We chose New York because it's one of our safer urban areas," she said with a laugh. "Had to avoid polar bear territory or anywhere near the Australian interior, or really anywhere that larger predators roam freely." Predators? Zychtal's translator must have malfunctioned. Roaming freely? "Oh yes, we have quite a variety. Bears, lions, tigers, crocodiles, sharks, wolves, the usual suspects. We still lose a few hundred people a year to animal attacks, nothing like the old days though." Keelwyn frantically checked his datapad. "Sir," he whispered urgently, "massive biodiversity. Carnivorous species, venomous species, and some are enormous." "What's life like on your world?" Rodriguez asked. "Do you have much wildlife?" Zychtal struggled to process this. "Our world was properly terraformed millennia ago. A few herbivorous species remain in preservation zones, but nothing dangerous. Most civilized worlds eliminated predatory species for obvious safety reasons." The humans smiled. "Fascinating. We've developed sophisticated management systems. Our cities are predatory resistant, we have warning systems for dangerous weather, emergency protocols for natural disasters. It's just part of life." Natural disasters? The words came out as barely a whisper. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, floods, wildfires, you know, the usual planetary dynamics. Last month, we had a Category 5 hurricane hit the Atlantic coast. Evacuated 2 million people, but casualties were minimal, only a few dozen deaths. Zychtal's suit's medical monitors began beeping as his stress levels spiked. Excuse me, I need to contact my ship immediately." The emergency session of the Galactic Council's First Contact Committee convened within hours. The vast chamber buzzed with confused chatter in dozens of languages. "Order," called Chairperson Veltar, a massive crystalline being. "Ambassador Zychtal, present your findings." Zychtal's image flickered to life, still in his environmental suit. "Honored members, our initial classification of Earth was inadequate. The inhabitants appear to have evolved on what can only be described as a Class 13 Deathworld." The chamber fell silent. Class 13 was theoretical, a classification that existed in databases but had never been encountered. Dr. Theo Millikan, the Council's xenobiologist, materialized as a hologram. "Ambassador, that's impossible. No sapient species could evolve on a Class 13 world." "Doctor, I've uploaded my sensor data. The planet has weather systems producing winds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour, seismic activity that reshapes landscapes, predatory species hunting in coordinated packs, organisms injecting neurotoxins potent enough to kill a Thraxian in minutes. And the humans call this Tuesday?" Council member Kixnar raised a tentacle. "Surely you're exaggerating. They have recreational activities where they intentionally expose themselves to these dangers. They call it camping. They go into wilderness areas where predators live. For fun. The chamber erupted in alarmed chatter. "There's more," Zixtal continued. "Their cities withstand what they call natural disasters. Earthquakes that would level civilized structures are routine. They have warning systems for atmospheric disturbances that could destroy fleets." Dr. Milliken's hologram flickered. "The atmospheric pressure variance alone would be lethal to most species. Temperature fluctuations, radiation levels during sunny days, chemical composition of their precipitation." "What's precipitation?" asked Counselor Zephyrim. "Liquid water falling from the sky, regularly. Sometimes it freezes into solid projectiles called hail. They consider this weather. And humans just live with this?" Veltar's structure dimmed with confusion. "They've adapted. Their cities channel water away. They wear protective coverings during temperature extremes. They've developed medical treatments for various toxins. They consider it all perfectly normal." Councilmember Rixara spoke tremblingly. "What do they consider dangerous?" Zixtal paused. "Black holes and something called Australian wildlife. What makes Australian wildlife different?" I was afraid to ask. Back on Earth, Secretary General Maria Rodriguez reviewed the most extraordinary communication in human history. The Galactic Council had requested a detailed briefing on Earth's environmental hazards before proceeding with first contact protocols. Dr. James Harrison, Earth's leading xenobiologist, entered with files and a bewildered expression. "Maria, they want a complete catalog of everything on Earth that might be considered dangerous to other species. I don't know where to start." "Start with the obvious stuff," Rodriguez suggested. "Large predators, venomous animals, natural disasters." "That's just it. I don't think they consider anything simple. Their ambassador seemed to panic when I mentioned bears. Bears, Maria, not even grizzlies, just bears in general." Rodriguez pulled up the council's questionnaire. "They want to know about atmospheric hazards, weather. Apparently, they've never encountered hurricanes, or tornadoes, or thunderstorms. When I mentioned lightning, their scientist asked if we'd considered relocating to a more stable planet." "Relocating?" Rodriguez laughed. "Where would we go?" Dr. Harrison sat heavily. "Maria, these aliens might be from worlds fundamentally different from Earth. Their ambassador mentioned eliminating predators millennia ago for safety reasons." "All predators?" "All of them. They terraformed their world to eliminate weather patterns and geological activity. Apparently anything remotely dangerous." Rodriguez stared. "How do their ecosystems function?" "I don't think they have ecosystems. I think they have managed gardens, carefully controlled environments where nothing unexpected happens." She scrolled through more questions. "They want to know about our defensive urban planning. They're asking why cities are built to withstand earthquakes and hurricanes. They want to know about building codes, emergency services, disaster preparations." "Because they don't have any? Because they've never needed any?" "Maria, we might be the first species they've encountered that lives where the environment actively tries to kill us." "So what do we tell them?" "The truth. Though I'm not sure how to explain that we consider Australia mostly safe, or that we let children play where wolves and bears might be present." Speaking of Australia, they asked specifically about Australian wildlife. Dr. Harrison was quiet. "Maybe we should start with the Northern Hemisphere and work up to Australia. We shouldn't lead with huntsman spiders or box jellyfish." "What about mentioning that 70% of our planet is covered in water filled with sharks?" Dr. Harrison put his head in his hands. "What if we're literally the most dangerous planet in the galaxy?" The Galactic Council's emergency session was the largest gathering in 50,000 years. Representatives from every major species attended to discuss the unprecedented discovery of sapience evolved on a Class 13 Deathworld. High Counselor Zephyrim called the session to order. "Dr. Milliken, present your analysis." The xenobiologist's hologram appeared, surrounded by data displays. Honored Council, I can confirm we're dealing with a genuine Class 13 Deathworld and its indigenous sapient species. Murmurs of disbelief echoed through the chamber. The planet exhibits characteristics we considered incompatible with complex life: extreme weather, active geology, dangerous fauna, lethal flora, and atmospheric conditions immediately fatal to most council species. Representative Kalseth raised a concern. How can we be certain they're telling the truth? Perhaps they're exaggerating. Dr. Millikan displayed orbital scans. These are unedited images. Observe, a hurricane system covering an area larger than most member worlds' landmasses. Wind speeds that would strip atmosphere from smaller planets. The humans simply evacuate and wait for it to pass. Evacuate? Asked Counselor Vexstar. They don't destroy the weather system? They don't have weather control technology. They consider weather natural phenomena to be endured. The implications sank in as silence fell. Their urban planning assumes regular catastrophic events, Dr. Millikan continued. Buildings designed to flex rather than break. Infrastructure built to survive partial destruction. Medical systems optimized for trauma treatment. Elder Kixana whispered, they plan for their cities to be destroyed? Regularly. They have agencies dedicated to disaster response. They train their young to survive hostile environments. They consider it education. Representative Thulgrim stood abruptly. Why haven't they terraformed their world like every civilized race? I asked their Secretary General that question. Her response, why would we change Earth? It's beautiful the way it is. The chamber erupted in confused discussion. What is your assessment of their psychological state? Asked High Counselor Zephyrum. Are they damaged? Initially, I thought so. However, their cultural output suggests otherwise. They create art celebrating their world's beauty. They compose music inspired by thunderstorms. They write poetry about changing seasons. They genuinely love their dangerous world. Love? The word came from several representatives simultaneously. Furthermore, they display remarkable adaptability. They've populated every continent, including areas immediately lethal to most council species. They thrive in temperatures that would freeze or cook us. They regularly expose themselves to radiation levels we consider hazardous. Counselor Yithara posed the crucial question, are they a threat? Unknown. They appear peaceful, but they've developed survival skills we can barely comprehend. They have sayings like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The implications were staggering. 3 months after first contact, the Galactic Council decided on a limited cultural exchange program. Human ambassadors would visit Harmony Station while selected council representatives spent time on Earth. What could go wrong? Ambassador Elena Vasquez stepped off the transport at Harmony Station, humanity's first representative to leave Earth. The station was pristine, climate-controlled perfection where dozens of species coexisted in complete safety. "Welcome," greeted Diplomat Kelshar. "I trust your journey was comfortable?" "Very, thank you." Elena looked around at the sterile corridors, soft lighting, complete absence of any conceivable danger. "It's very clean. We maintain a perfectly safe environment. Constant temperature, optimally balanced atmosphere, all potentially hazardous organisms eliminated." Elena nodded politely, though the sterile perfection felt unsettling. Meanwhile on Earth, Dr. Yithkala of the Gentle Collective was experiencing culture shock in Switzerland, supposedly one of Earth's calmer regions. "The weather's been lovely," commented her host, Dr. Michael Thompson. "Though we might get rain this afternoon." Rain? Dr. Yithkala's environmental suit sealed immediately. Liquid falling from the sky? Should we take shelter? "It's just a light shower, nothing to worry about." Nothing to worry about? Water falling with no warning? What if it's acidic? What if it carries pathogens? Thompson led her to the resort's garden where flowers bloomed in organized chaos. Bees buzzed between plants, birds sang in trees. Dr. Yithkala stared in horror. "Those flying creatures, are they armed?" "The bees, they can sting, but they're harmless unless threatened. They inject venom? Well, technically yes, but... And those larger creatures? Those are predators? The birds? Some eat insects, but they're not dangerous. A squirrel scurried down a tree trunk, and Dr. Yithkala's defensive systems fully activated. Back on Harmony Station, Elena was giving a presentation about Earth culture. One popular activity is hiking, Elena explained, showing humans walking through forests. We enjoy exploring natural areas, observing wildlife, challenging ourselves with difficult terrain. Stunned silence. You intentionally enter areas where dangerous animals live? Interrupted Scholar vexed him. We take precautions. We make noise to avoid surprising bears, check for venomous snakes. You actively look for predators? To avoid them, though wildlife photographers do seek them out. They seek out predators intentionally? How many humans die during recreation? Came rapid-fire questions. Well, there are some fatalities. Humans die for fun? The cultural exchange program was quietly suspended after Dr. Yithkala was hospitalized for severe anxiety, and Elena's presentation caused 3 diplomats to request emergency transport home. 6 months after the failed cultural exchange, the Galactic Council's research division released a report that changed everything. Dr. Millikan, leading a team of xenoarchaeologists and evolutionary biologists, had made a discovery that recontextualized humanity's entire existence. Honored counselors, Dr. Millikan began at the emergency session, our research into Earth's history has yielded unprecedented insights into human evolution. High Counselor Zephyrim leaned forward. Proceed, Doctor. Earth was not always a Class 13 death world. Deep core samples reveal that 2.8 million years ago, Earth was a Class 6 or 7 world, suitable for complex life evolution, but not the nightmare we observe today. Council member Veltar's energy field pulsed with confusion. Then how did it become Class 13? Catastrophic climate change, massive extinctions, supervolcanic eruptions, meteor impacts, ice ages. Earth has experienced every possible planetary disaster multiple times. By reasonable standards, complex life should have been wiped out dozens of times. But it wasn't, observed Elder Kixana. No, the humans' ancestors didn't just survive these catastrophes, they adapted to them. Each disaster that should have ended their evolutionary line instead forced them to become more resilient, adaptable, intelligent. Dr. Millikan displayed an evolutionary timeline. Every major extinction event coincides with leaps in human ancestral development. The meteor impact led to better cooperation. Ice ages forced tool use and fire control. Volcanic winters forced language and planning abilities. The chamber processed the implications silently. Are you saying humans evolved intelligence specifically to survive on a death world? Asked Counselor Kalseth. More than that, they evolved intelligence because they lived on a death world. Every cognitive advancement corresponds to surviving planetary catastrophe. They literally thought their way out of extinction, repeatedly. Elder Mirgoth whispered, "This explains their psychology. They're not damaged, they're perfectly adapted." Exactly. What we consider pathological risk tolerance is sophisticated survival strategy. What we see as disturbing acceptance of danger is millions of years of evolutionary programming that says dangerous environments can be survived through intelligence, cooperation, and adaptation. This is why they find their world beautiful, Dr. Millikan continued. Earth isn't trying to kill them, Earth is their evolutionary partner. They've thrived in chaos because chaos made them intelligent. High Counselor Zephyrim was quiet. What does this mean for the galactic community? We're dealing with a species that evolved to survive anything. They're not adapted to one harsh environment, they're adapted to adaptation itself. There's something else, Dr. Millikan added reluctantly. Earth will continue being geologically active. The humans aren't just survivors of past catastrophes, they're actively living through ongoing ones. To them, this is normal. To us, it would require evacuation. The implications hung heavy in the air like gathering storm clouds. 1 year after first contact, Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood before the full Galactic Council Assembly. Behind her stood representatives from every continent on Earth, scientists, philosophers, artists, engineers, and ordinary citizens embodying humanity's diverse response to their dangerous world. The assembly hall had been modified at humanity's request. Gone was the sterile perfection the council preferred. Now it included variable lighting mimicking natural sunlight, temperature fluctuations, even sounds of wind and distant thunder. "Honored counselors," Elena began, "1 year ago, you discovered we come from a Class 13 Deathworld. You've studied us, analyzed us, tried to understand how we survived, and chose to remain." She paused, looking around at hundreds of representatives. "Today, I want to share what we've learned about you." A murmur ran through the assembly. For 50,000 years, your civilization eliminated danger, controlled environment, ensured safety above all. You've created a galaxy where nothing unexpected happens, where every world is carefully managed, where every species lives in perfect stability. Elena gestured to her companions. "We've met your people, visited your worlds. We've seen something you may not have noticed. You've also eliminated growth." The murmur grew louder. "Dr. Maria Santos studied your historical records. In 10,000 years, you've made remarkable advances in maintaining civilizations, but little progress expanding them. Your art became refined but repetitive. Your science became precise but predictable. Your philosophy became sophisticated but stagnant." Dr. Santos stepped forward. "What we see is the inevitable result of perfect safety, perfect boredom." The chamber erupted in confused discussion. "We're not criticizing your achievements," Elena continued. "What you've built is magnificent. But we can offer something you've lost: the ability to grow. Change, adaptation, innovation born from necessity. The drive to become more because staying the same isn't enough to survive." Elena looked directly at the council leadership. "You've asked why we stay on Earth, why we don't terraform it safer. The answer is simple. Earth made us who we are. Without challenge, without change, without constant adaptation, we wouldn't be human." Professor Sarah Mitchell stepped forward. "We've studied your pre-safety civilizations. Every species was more creative, innovative, dynamic before achieving perfect safety. Your achievements peaked during dangerous periods, then gradually declined into sophisticated maintenance. We're offering to be partners," Elena concluded. "You have wisdom, knowledge, infrastructure. We have the ability to grow, to change, to face uncertainty with confidence rather than fear." The vote was close, 847 to 623. Humanity was accepted. The galaxy was about to become much more interesting.